Hello, people. Thank you so very much for taking time to join us again. So, last episode, I had the medical doctor, Christian medical doctor, I should say, speak to us about fasting, primarily from a medical perspective. And that was a big one because there was a lot of things to learn. As a matter of fact, we couldn't conclude all the learnings from within the limited time allotted to this program. But she's been so gracious that she's agreed to give us another episode to come and feature. So a big thank you to you again, Dr. Adebukola Olanrewaju. You want to say hi to our people?
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for having me here again. It's an honor, I must say, to be here again to speak to everyone about the same topic, fasting, and enlightening people.
All right. Thank you very much. So, for the benefit of those who may not have watched the previous episode, in the episode we established a couple of things, and I'll try to do a recap within 1 or 2 minutes. We did establish the fact that fasting must be intentional. That is, it's a deliberate effort to do away without food, to do without food, and to seek God. That is, biblical fasting is not just abstinence from food. It's got to be coupled with seeking God. That was very clear in terms of our first episode and laying the foundation. We said a lot of things and the big takeaway for me were 3 points that the doctor made about a safe fasting. She said for fasting to be safe, there are 3 points. One is the duration of the fast. 2 is the individual's health status. And the third point is hydration. So let's start from the duration. The doctor said that the duration, there is no hard and fast rule as to the duration. Okay, it's just that know your body. Okay, know your body, know what is good enough for your body or what your body can handle per time. And then she talked about the individual's health status. So a pregnant woman at that particular point, at that season, very likely cannot afford to fast, not just because of her, but because of the baby that she's carrying. And then the last point she mentioned was hydration. We had limited time. We couldn't go into it in detail. So it was decided that we will start from there and then we build on it. Doctor, let's go to this issue of duration. You did say that there are no hard and fast rule about the duration that is safe for an individual. There are different types of bodies. Our backgrounds and our trainings are different. But in the Bible, Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Of course, Christians, from a traditional perspective, are trying to follow that by observing the Lenten period and fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. Of course, Muslim fast for 30 days. What do you have to say, perhaps from a duration perspective? How much fast is good? How much fast is bad from a duration perspective?
Okay, thank you very much. So, like we mentioned earlier, I do not believe in the last episode I do not believe there's an actual duration that should be followed. Know your body and ease into it. So, fasting, intention, and purposeful. So it must be purposeful for a particular purpose, not to follow trend. Mm-hmm. Jesus fasted for a particular reason. He had a purpose of fasting. And also he fasted to make us know that, well, it's quite doable to fast for 40 days. But actually, know your body. Everyone is different. We do not have the same background. So if you are just started, ease into it. Start by skipping breakfast and then gradually increase it. And as you go along in your fasting, when you know that your body is telling you stop, you feel faint, you feel dizzy, unwell, please, then you know you need to stop. So your body will actually tell you when it is enough. But like I mentioned, you can always ease into it. And our body is fantastic. It accommodates so many things, what we expose our body to. So the little one you expose, the body will have built resilience, and then you can gradually increase it. So there's no hard and fast rule about duration of fasting.
Okay.
Know that it's for an intentional purpose and stick to that. Focus on you connecting to God at that time, because some people fast for a long time and they can't even connect to God.
Mm-hmm.
So that is not the intention of fasting.
Okay. Now, I think we've said enough about duration, the health status. Obviously, if you have a medical condition that is critical, definitely you need to speak to your medical expert, your doctor in this case. Now, let's speak about hydration. We didn't have time to talk about that in the last episode. Do you mind elucidating on this point of hydration and fasting?
So I mentioned that a safe fast must include proper hydration.
Okay.
Now, hydration is very important because our body contains mainly water. I mentioned that 50 to 65% of our body is made up of water. Our blood, our brain, our lungs, our kidney, they need water, and they actually contain water.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you do not properly hydrate yourself, you can lead yourself into dehydration. And dehydration is very, very fatal, because dehydration can affect your blood pressure. And I was saying that when you are dehydrated, the blood and the water that is meant to flow into your blood vessel, that is the tube that carries blood, the blood will become thickened. And then you imagine a thickened blood flowing through a vessel. It will be difficult for that blood, because we need blood for our brain to function well. We need blood for our organs to function. So it will constrict, and thereby leading to high blood pressure, because that is the pressure. The high blood pressure is basically the pressure in the blood vessel. So dehydration can lead to high blood pressure because the body is trying to compensate for it. Another thing that dehydration can cause, I mentioned that our brain is made up of water.
Yes.
So you can imagine reduction in the brain volume. What will it cause the brain to do? It will shrink.
Wow.
Now, when it shrinks, it moves away from the lining that coats the brain.
Okay.
That is the meninges.
Wow.
So it moves away from the lining, and then it causes a strain on the brain, and it stimulates pain receptors in our brain, causing headache. And because it shrinks, there's pressure on the nerves in our brain. It can cause headache and can actually be very dangerous. So when you're having headache, think dehydration. Are you properly hydrated?
Okay, let's pause there and talk about this hydration point. You know, for someone who is steeped in tradition, they believe that fasting actually means doing without food and water. We're doing this podcast and this show to enlighten everybody, Christian, non-Christian alike. Of course, we are Christians, and we encourage everyone to embrace our faith. But if a Muslim is listening, we'll welcome you, and we open our door to say, come and try our faith. So this is based on Christianity. I believe it's one of the biggest misconception about fasting is that you must not drink water when you are fasting. And that's what brought me to the point of saying, even Muslim, I know Muslim fast is without water. A lot of Christians also believe that fasting is without water, but that is not correct. From a medical perspective, you have described it to us. I was actually shocked when I heard that the brain can shrink, reduce, because it's primarily a lot of water in it. And now, if the water is not there for a long period of time, the volume is going to reduce. That is shocking to me. Now, the key point is, why do pastors encourage dry fasting? I know a church is like the panacea, what they consider to be the medicine for everything is dry fasting. 5 days, 3 days. I think the church needs to be taught when it comes to this medical aspect. And now let me try and bring the biblical aspect to it. For those who may not know, Jesus fasted for 40 days. The Bible says after the 40 days, he was hungry. The Bible didn't say he was thirsty. So chances are very strongly that Jesus was drinking water. He wasn't eating. As a matter of fact, when the devil came to tempt him, he said, turn these stones to bread. No talk about milk, no talk about water, because water was taken for granted. Remember, Jesus lived around the Middle East, and it's a very arid area, very hot, very dry. I'm saying this for someone who is fasting and it's a lot they are doing without water. So biblical fasting that is safe encourages you to take water. As a matter of fact, and I will turn this to you, I do believe that when you take water and you are fasting, there is a sort of cleansing that is happening. Maybe you can help us speak to that before I continue. Drinking water when you are fasting.
Okay, so drinking water when you're fasting, like I mentioned, is really important because major of our body is made up of water, and we know that our kidney it needs water. Prolonged period of dehydration can affect the kidney, lead to kidney stones, and even, we have salt in our body, and there's a balance. We need the water to balance the salt. When there is no water in our body, what would the salt? Let's say you have water and salt. If there is no water in that salt, the salt will be more potent, right?
Yes.
The salt will be more potent. It can lead to electrolyte imbalance. We call the salt electrolyte. Mm-hmm. So it leads to electrolyte imbalance, which can affect your heart, leading to cardiac arrest and even death. Mm-hmm. So prolonged period of dry fasting can cause that. So that is why it is important for us to be knowledgeable, to know that drinking when fasting, we can actually drink when fasting. I've mentioned fasting is intention and purpose. It's not to prove a point to anyone. Mm-hmm. It's not to show off to anyone. It's actually you and God. Focusing on you and God. And even with mild dehydration, do you know that mild dehydration can make us lose focus? Our thinking, we might not think clearly because of the blood vessels, the brain shrinking. It makes us lose focus. So how can we focus on God when we actually lose focus?
We cannot even focus on man.
Yeah. So it is really important. And that is why many people need to realize and know this, be enlightened about it.
Yes. All right. So when I fast, I drink a lot of water. And I know water is tasteless. Water is not food. So it's not easy to put water in an empty stomach. As a beginner in fasting, you may not enjoy it. It might even be a lot of work, but with intentionality, and I doubt if there's any word that has come more frequently in this show or podcast than intention. So with intentionality, please carry a lot of water around when you are fasting. When you are fasting, carrying what, knowing the benefits that's going to do from a cleansing, from the pH balance, from the blood pressure perspective. Listen, doctor, looks like you're going to give me a diploma in medicine. I think I'm trying. with all the terms that I'm using, but I'm just kidding. So we need to drink a lot of water when you are fasting. I'm emphasizing this because for someone who is traditional in his mind, he thinks that when you are drinking water, it's not paining you or something, or you are actually not doing enough discipline. No, we must not break our health. We don't need to destroy our health to please God. I like what the doctor said. We're not trying to prove a point. We're not trying to punish ourselves. As a matter of fact, fasting is just to put the body under, make it a little weak, not too weak, so that you can focus on God. Again, talking about intentionality. I want to speak to another benefit that I have seen about water. For someone who is just starting out in fasting, when you are weak and you're tired because there's no food inside you, I learned by way of being taught, one of the ways you can full now is FOOL. Full your stomach or your body is to fill your stomach with water. As a beginner in fasting, when you are hungry, because around 12 o'clock, your body is already needing food, it's used to getting food, fill it with water, and then you can move on. Of course, you are cleaning, you are getting the benefit of the water, and these are ways by which you train yourself, and then you get better and better. After a while, you don't even need that trick on the body again. But these days, I need to be intentional to even take water in. Now, let's go to another point. Doctor, what is a safe way to break a fast? I know that many people make mistakes in this area. You want to speak to us about that?
So, breaking your fast safely you must gradually reintroduce easily digestible food in small proportion.
Okay.
So the safe way to break the fast, you're drink water, and then look for something light that your stomach can easily digest, like fruits like watermelon, banana, and take that. Let your body, because you can imagine you've not used an equipment for such a time and then give it a big tax, workload would sometimes my malfunction. So start little, gradually reintroduce easily digestible food like fruits. And then after like an hour, then you can eat your proper meal. But it is also important to know that you should not overeat. So it is very important because, sometimes we have left all our food for a time and you say, oh no, when I break this fast, I have multiple food that I have missed over this period of time. I am going to devour them. Please do not overeat. Eat in proportion. Eat what you eat for that particular meal. It is also very important. So listen to your body. Don't just, I'm going to eat everything. Listen to your body. Listen to your body.
Okay, that's interesting. And to be honest with you, doctor, it's not easy. You're telling me I've not eaten from morning. Yesterday was the last time I saw food. And now I waited till 6 p.m. The natural tendency is to say, my favorite food, pounded yam. This is your face. I'm going to devour you. So the doctor is telling us, don't go that route. Break slowly. As a matter of fact, several years ago, I read a book by Derek Prince. I can't remember the title, small book, but he talked a lot about things like, it was based on fasting. And he said that we must break our fast slowly. He recommends that it must take half the duration of the fast before you go back to normal regimen of food. Let me give an example. If you've been fasting for 12 hours, he's saying that it must take you an additional 6 hours when you break the fast before you go to your normal way of eating. Again, speak to what the doctor said. The organs are already weak or tired, and now you are loading it with heavy food. And in Africa, we have a lot of heavy food. don't go loading it with those heavy food. Sometimes, and I'm sure many of us can relate with this, out of greed, out of hunger, speed, we load the body with the heavy food and hardly can we move. That is not good. Sometimes, again, because of dehydration, when you go to toilet, there's all sort of problems that we cannot even attempt to describe here. So please, I think one thing about fasting is about self-control. So if you have exercised self-control not to eat, then exercise self-control to break the fast slowly. Fruit is your friend, blended, eating, whatever form, it is your friend. And then gradually we can go into the normal way of eating. Okay, so we're talking about how should we break a fast. As we prepare to wrap this up, Doctor, what do you have to say to a Muslim who is fasting at this time?
Okay, so for our Muslim brothers and sisters that are fasting at this time, I would say that think about hydration, break your fast safely. And if you know you have any medical condition that is preventing you or that can prevent you from fasting, please seek medical advice before you start. And also, gradually introduce your food when you want to break.
Okay, that's a big one from somebody who used to embrace the Islamic faith and by God's grace had found Jesus and is growing. You didn't say that, but based on my personal knowledge, I would like to say that. That's very good. For me, what I want to say to Muslims is please reconsider introducing water, drinking water when you fast. That's one. Number two, when you fast, I know you are seeking God. Can you reconsider Jesus, your stance, and ask God to give you the true view of Jesus? God, which is the way? Because in the Bible, some people they erected an altar, and there was a pastor, an apostle called Paul, and he saw it. Those guys were very religious. Every little thing, they will give it a name, they will idolize it. So much so that they got to a point, they said, this one is to the unknown God. That is, maybe there's one that we don't know somewhere there. This is it. And Paul said, the unknown God you are looking for is Jesus. I want to encourage Muslims who are fasting. I know you are looking for God. Jesus is the way, and I want you to consider giving your life to him. As we wrap up, Doctor, there are so many myths about fasting, wrong ideas. Outside of some of the ones we've said today, which myth, if you are given an opportunity to bust a myth, which one would you like to bust?
Okay, let me say maybe two myths I would like to bust.
Okay.
So the first one is you cannot exercise while fasting.
Ah.
That is a wrong notion.
Tell me.
You can actually exercise while fasting, but do not extreme exercise. You can actually exercise while fasting because it is safe and it's effective. So let me take you to what happens to our body when we fast.
Fantastic.
Now, when we fast, there is no food that is glucose that our body utilizes. What the body does is that the recent food that we have eaten, it will convert that, first of all, to glucose as fuel. I spoke about a car and fuel.
Yes.
Like the fuel is the food.
Yes.
That's the glucose that needs the car to move. So what the body does is it converts the one we recently ate to fuel, glucose. When that finishes, we have a particular organ in our body called the liver. The liver stores up glucose. So what the body does is it takes those liver glycogen and converts it to glucose and use it as fuel. When that also finishes in around 8 hours from our fast, then it starts utilizing the fats in our body. So the fats will be broken down to be used as fuel. Now, this fat that is broken down to be used as fuel is also giving us energy. So there's no particular point in time that your body lacks energy to do work. So you can actually exercise and walk during fasting. So that's a myth I would like to bust. You can exercise during fasting because you have the fuel. Your body utilizes different things, even if it's not food, different things in your body to work as fuel. The second myth I would like to bust is that fasting is only for losing weight. And some people think, oh, fasting is only for losing weight, but I bet you it's wrong. Fasting can even help us to improve our focus. How do I mean? Now, I mentioned the fat being broken down. Mm-hmm. When that fat is broken down, it produces a substance we call ketone. That ketone is actually we call it a super fuel.
Wow.
It's a super fuel for the brain. So it is a clean source of fuel for the brain, which helps us to focus. So fasting is not only for weight loss, it can help us to improve cognition and focus. And that is why when we fast, we focus more on God.
All right. Thank you very much. There you have it, guys. We are wrapping up the second episode on fasting and your health. And the doctor wrapped it up with two myths. One, fasting is not about weight loss. If it were, someone like me, a petite, lanky guy like me would never even fast. So it's not about weight loss. Number two, has to do with fasting and exercise. You can still exercise. That one is for me, actually. When I fast, I run away from exercise. I'm like, the little energy I have, let me conserve it. But the doctor has helped me. So from today on, I will still do moderate exercises when I'm fasting. This has been wonderful. Thank you so very much, Dr. Olanrewaju. I believe that when we call you in the future, you will still do us the honor to grace our podcast. Thank you very much. Until then, viewers, stay blessed and stay safe.
Okay.